Here we go.
This is the Weekly Scramble, a place where we chat about life over a cold one or two. It's time to belly up to the pod with Mike Fratelloni and your host, Chris Reavers.
That's right. It's time for the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reavers. With me, as always, his name is Mike Fratelloni. Hello, Michael.
Hey, how you doing, Reavers?
I'm doing okay. And I'm going to warn the regulars, the Weekly Scramble devotees. I'm going to get a little heavy here in this first segment because I've got something that I really wanted to talk about. I touched on it a little bit with Joe earlier this week, but I've hit my boiling point with a certain subject matter, and I'll give you a little background. Well, I'll just phrase it this way. High school graduations have become something that we seriously need to address. And I'm just going to single out the state of Minnesota, but I can only imagine that this type of thing is happening all over the country. In fact, for you frat packers out there, please, I want to have like a theme. So I think every once in a while we should do like a theme with the Frat Pack Facebook fan page. Yeah. Frat packers, do me a favor. I want to hear the good and the bad of your high school graduation experience because I think there's one or two things that are happening. Either it's a really great positive experience. I know I remember recently I got an email, or I should say the show got an email about a really cool graduation, I believe up in the Alexandria area, where all the kids came to the graduation and they drove tractors. It was a very small graduating class, but I love that kind of stuff, right? I still remember my commencement day. It was a wonderful day. But I got to tell you, we've had we had a shooting, not even a week ago for the Wayzata High School graduation. And you're familiar with that story? It was at the U of M.
Yeah, but that didn't happen because of the Wayzata graduation party.
Well, but it's touching on, in fact, I'm going to pull up the story, and I should have done that before.
I think if I'm not mistaken, it was a guy outside of the arena shooting somebody else, not people from Wayzata.
Right. But it's stemming from, I think, the same systemic problem. And I'm not going to single out a particular group. That's not what I'm here to do. But what I am going to say is it seems to be that one group tied to this are all the same group. And the problem is going to be one simple thing. And that simple thing is entitlement. And I am so bleeping sick of entitlement as a whole in our society. But with one specific demographic of our society, the entitlement is so high, it is so strong, the boldness is so rampant that I'm fed up. I'm done with it. I didn't sign up for this crap. I'm going to give you a case in point. 1 year ago, I attended my niece's high school graduation in my hometown of Faribault, Minnesota. And what I witnessed was so alarming. It was so obnoxious. I literally could not believe what I was seeing. And fast forward to this past Sunday. Yeah, this past Sunday. And the town baseball team that I'm a part of, the Faribault Lakers, we had a 2:00 game. And it just so happened that same high school had their commencement for the first time in, I think, 20 years, had it outside at Bruce Smith High School football field.
Okay.
It was great. That's where mine was. It was at the I go, oh, man, they're having it at the high school football field again. That's so great. So there's two entrances to get to our complex, and I decided to take the shorter route, as I do all the time, not remembering that it was commencement day. And so I thought, all right, I got to wait in line a little bit here just to get to the ballpark. And then say when I got up to because there's police officers that are kind of directing traffic. And I just had to say, hey, I don't need to go this way. I need to go that way because I'm going to the ballpark. I'm not going to the commencement. And then I was just going to let him know. And I know many of the cops in town, so I knew it wasn't going to be a problem. And while I was waiting in line, I'm going to say a good 8 to 12 minutes that I was in line waiting patiently. I mean, somewhat patiently, but I was waiting.
You got to wait. It is what it is.
I counted 8 different cars passed by everybody, not obeying any of the traffic signs, anything. And it was the same demographic that I'm referring to. And I'm thinking, no, you get to wait in line just like the rest of us. Just because you're running late, that doesn't mean you. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about entitlement.
Frustrating.
So this particular demographic, the problem is fights like this are starting because I was reading a story related here. I'll read the story from Wayzata.
Okay.
As we now have the identity of this person. A man has been charged in connection with a shooting outside Wayzata High School's graduation at Mariucci Arena in Minneapolis on the University of Minnesota campus. Hamza Abdirashid Said, 20 years old, of Coon Rapids, is charged via an order of detention with first-degree assault, second-degree assault, and possessing and operating a machine gun in connection to the May 30th shooting. The police responded to the arena at 8 p.m. on Friday, May 30th, in response to a shooting at the Wayzata High School ceremony. Witnesses described hearing 2 gunshots, the criminal complaint states. When police arrived, they found one victim, a 49-year-old man who had an obvious gunshot wound to the head that was spurting blood, court documents said. The victim told police he was standing outside with his family after the graduation ceremony. He saw a group of men fighting or having an argument behind him before he heard a gunshot and began to run with his family away from the argument. After about 20 yards, the victim felt a burning sensation on his head and touched it before he collapsed. He was taken to HCMC. He suffered a fractured skull and a brain bleed, with the criminal complaint noting the wound caused numbness on his right side. I'll add commentary. He's lucky he's not dead.
He's lucky he's not dead, yeah.
A second victim, a 19-year-old man suffered a gunshot wound to his right leg. He was not cooperative with officers and was taken to the hospital for treatment, court documents said. So here's the problem. And I heard on another show that was talking about this, that they're surprised it took this long because they were in attendance at that same Wayzata High School graduation ceremony last year. Here's what the problem is, and I'm going to lay it out. And I, you know what? I'd like to hear from other people that have maybe witnessed different interactions.
Or great ones.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. That group of people, and I'm just going to say, I don't care. The Somalian population at high school graduation, I witnessed this firsthand, and I've heard tons of stories that corroborate what I'm about to say. The reason that they tell you to keep your mouth shut, just hold your, like a little clap when you hear your family member walk across, it's fine. But it's the obnoxious, over-the-top, hooting and hollering and screaming at the top of your lungs that's taking place. The problem is the other people that are there. And again, Wayzata is a massive school. So you're graduating hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids. Yep. The ceremony takes a long time. The reason why the people in charge say hold your applause is they're trying to get through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kids' names. That takes a long time. Mm-hmm. So when you decide that you're going to make it about you because you're an entitled person, I self-edited there on the fly. When you are an entitled person that thinks, well, it's about me. I don't care what I was told to do. I'm just not going to listen. The next person in line's family can't hear their child's name be called or their family member's name be called because you decided to make it about yourself. I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for this crap, Mike.
Wow.
I did not say, you know what I'd like to do? I'm going to go too far, I think, so I better just watch myself. Well, but the problem, I'm sorry, I'll let you go.
Keep. I'm going to let you dig.
The problem is the fact that we've allowed this to happen. We've accepted this as our quote unquote new normal. I didn't. I didn't want this. And again, I'm not singling out one demographic because I'm anti. I know many Somalians that are great people, and I just don't understand why we just have to say, well, I'm doing it right now. I'm self-editing and not calling it like it is because I'm fearful of retaliation to our show. But I don't care anymore. Well, I'm so tired that we've just been beaten to death by thinking we're quote-unquote racist. If we call out bad behavior, this is bad behavior, and it needs to be called out.
But you got to be careful because you can't. You have to call out the bad behavior on the people committing the bad behavior.
For sure.
And only them, right? You can't take a group that may, of the 300 people there that fell into the demographic you were referring to, but maybe a handful of them were inappropriately behaved.
Well, okay, the 19-year-old that was also shot.
Yeah.
There's a reason why that particular piece, I'm not going to name out the outlet where I got the story from, because they did that. I know exactly why they did that. That person didn't comply with officers because they didn't want to be implicated.
Sure.
No, I got shot, but I'm fine. I don't need to talk to you. Yeah. Well, it's because they were probably involved with that fight.
It's possible.
You know, and that's probably who this 20-year-old psychopath was trying to shoot in the first place.
But Reavers, okay.
Talk to me. I'm willing to be corrected here. I really am.
You're proclaiming that there's an entitlement.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that entitlement was given. Maybe we did this. Maybe America gave them.
Okay, I was just going to ask who's we.
Okay. How do I say this? Because I want to be very careful here, right? I don't hold this feeling, right? You and I have a slight variation of this, right? When Irishmen came to America, did the Americans that were here say, "Oh my God, you should see these guys at the bars. They're just drinking like crazy and just causing a bunch of trouble." Mm-hmm. When the Italians came, did they say, "Oh, it's the mafioso, they're bringing in a bunch of crime"? Did that happen? And I'm genuinely asking. I don't know.
I think I can answer it that way. I think I can answer it this way. Back then, I don't think we had fights and disturbances. And Mike, I think we did. We had 2 violent situations at high school graduations in Minnesota this year.
Yeah, I get that.
St. Cloud Tech had another one too.
I think we had this same thing happen whenever you bring in a large group of people that maybe came from a totally different culture. And I would imagine Somalia is a totally different culture than our culture.
You think?
There is a time of assimilation, right? Where the assimilation takes a long time, right? You have to, one thing that we did in Minnesota is we brought so many people that a whole bunch of people didn't need to assimilate into Western Minnesota values. They said, "Oh, we have our families here. We don't need to assimilate." So maybe the assimilation is taking longer, right? Maybe they just, and I keep going back to, what does history say to us? What happened every time we bring in a group? Every time since the founding of our country, when we brought in a group, did somebody complain about that group? And did eventually the group become the best group, right? Let me give you a really great example.
Please do.
One thing that I think Somalis miss is they don't have a great food, right? When we brought in Chinese, what did we get? Chinese food. When we brought in Italians, what did we get? Pastas and pizzas. Somalis, I don't know what food they're bringing in. I'm being jocular there. I'm trying to.
I get what you're saying, but I guess here's my point. And I'm honestly, the expectation level has been lowered to such a degree, and I'm saying across the board. Can we just have some civility here?
I get
Mike,
it. I get that.
I'm not joking. The high school graduation that I attended just a year ago.
Sure.
It was so loud, so obnoxious, getting so out of hand. The police had to come in the stands because there was a fight.
Sure.
Between 2 sets of people.
Totally unacceptable.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, why is it that we've just devolved to such a degree that this is happening at a freaking high school graduation?
Do you want me to blow your mind?
Because hold on, because all I want is, because some of these high schools, I get it. Like, you're in a position of, what are you going to do?
Sure.
Because I think, unfortunately, what's going to have to happen is this poor guy, this 49-year-old man, thankfully did not lose his life. But I think that's what it's going to have to take for. I mean, are you going to have to start doing these via Zoom?
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
or just not have them at all.
These are going to escalate to the point where there's going to be brawls.
Sure.
They're just it's already happening.
So why do you think? What do you think it is about these kids that they feel like they can do this? And you said entitlement.
It is. It's 100% entitlement.
And do you think the entitlement starts right at the very beginning when they migrate to the United States, legally migrate to the United States, and we try to be as supportive as we can as Americans, and as a government, Minnesota and the federal government, we give some people so much that they don't have to fight to earn their spot in America. I'm wondering out loud, right? I don't know that that's true. Before, if you migrated to America 140 years ago, if you didn't work, you starved to death. Right? If you migrate to Minnesota 5 years ago and you move here and boom, you're on welfare. Boom, you get assistance.
Yeah.
Boom, you get health care. I could see how, and I'm not saying they're entitled. That's not what I'm saying. You said that, not me, right?
Yep.
maybe that's a portion of the problem because all of a sudden they have so many entitlements.
Sure.
Or I'd like to call them handouts necessarily. And we're compassionate people, right? We knew that life in Somalia was not better than life in America, right? And so we had compassion for people that we brought here. Did we do, collective we, damage to a culture when we brought them here and said, here's a safety net that gives you a higher standard of living than maybe you've ever had in Somalia. And they said, oh, this standard of living is higher than whatever I've had. I can accept this instead of having to fight for the next level. I don't know, Reavers. It's a very, very complicated issue.
Let's take a break then so I can calm down and cool down a little bit. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. This is the Weekly Scramble Podcast, and we will be right back. Welcome back to the Weekly Scramble Podcast. We need to welcome a brand new partner here to the Weekly Scramble Podcast. It's the best nuts going right now. Ooh. That's right. Our friends at We Are Nuts are here, and they are made right here in Minnesota. It's the kind of no-nonsense quality craftsmanship that Minnesota is known for, and that's exactly what you get with our friends at We Are Nuts. It's a family-owned company that's been roasting the freshest, most flavorful nuts that you've ever had right here in Minnesota. They do it the right way. Small batch, high quality, nothing artificial, whether you're snacking, entertaining, or gifting, by the way. We Are Nuts delivers that same tried and true satisfaction that all of us here in Minnesota love. And you can taste the care in every single handful. This is hometown flavor at its finest, Michael. And I can mention where I could pick up We Are Nuts.
We've been selling We Are Nuts for years. We absolutely love We Are Nuts at Fratelloni's.
Yes.
We have some in stock right now, like a selection. We are getting these end caps in, like multiple end caps.
Oh, cool.
Of all of the stuff they carry. It is going to be fantastic. So look forward to this. New advertisers with us. Super great people.
Cool.
Minnesota company. We're going to have them at the Fratelloni stores, and they have them in a bunch of other stores. It's going to be great.
Can I tell you that? Because they do the cool little gift packs. So if you order them online, by the way, it's wearenutsmn.com. That's their website where you can purchase their stuff online. Can I tell you how dumb I am? Well, first of all, they were so nice. They gave me some great product.
Sure.
And I wolfed down the toffee peanuts.
Oh, yeah, those are delicious.
I'm not joking, one sitting.
Well, that might have been too many.
You think?
Yeah, okay.
And so what I did was, because I like the hibachi blend that they had. It's hibachi, right?
Wasabi.
Wasabi. I'm sorry, the wasabi blend. It's a little too spicy for me, so here's what I did.
Oh.
I took the wasabi, I took the toffee, and I combined. So it's like the sweet and it was so good.
That's pretty good.
It was so good.
They really do something special. I got to tour. Did you tour their place?
I haven't yet. I'm going, I believe, 2 weeks from tomorrow or a week from tomorrow. I can't remember.
It's weird how excited I get over different companies and watching them do when you look behind the curtain, you're like, that's how you do this?
That's cool.
Like I had no idea. So new partner with us, Fratelloni's has carried them for years.
That's
right?
awesome.
I mean, we sell a ton of We Are Nuts.
Okay.
So the packaging's great. The product's great. So we sell a ton. But wait till we get these end caps in. You can come in and you'll have a choice of like 70 different things. It's going to be great.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay. Once again, wearenutsmn.com. Welcome aboard to the entire Burt family. We're very excited about this. All right, we were talking about high school graduations and kind of the etiquette that we're lacking in certain respects with high school graduations. And I want to emphasize that I'm not singling out a certain culture because I get it. There's problems across the board, and it's an entitlement thing, Mike. That generation, we are really going to have issues on our hands here once all of a sudden these 18-year-olds become 30-year-olds, right? Yeah. That's going to be a problem that we're all going to have to deal with here in a matter of years.
Or they're going to chill out and learn what life is.
Let's hope so. Yeah, let's hope so.
But I got to point something out, Reavers.
Talk to me.
We have a very good friend who, during his son's graduation, screamed out loud, and I don't think he's the culture you're referring to.
No, he is not.
A standard guy that's on a podcast even. Our own rookie did it.
Yeah, and now that you mention it, Joe did call him out on that because Joe was also in attendance because rookie's son, Gabe, is the same age as one of Joe's granddaughters. Okay. So they graduated together at the same high school.
Sure.
And Joe said, well, that's embarrassing. You're just embarrassing. Anyway, so, but you're right. You are 100% right.
You just did something interesting there. You said, we don't yell at a high school graduation. We don't do it. Rookie has no embarrassment about him.
No.
Right?
No shame whatsoever.
It's funny, but the people that you were referring to, the kids, the families, maybe they don't have that embarrassed bone. Maybe they aren't embarrassed.
Boy, you're right.
Maybe someone doesn't. Maybe it's not entitlement. Maybe they're like, oh, we don't care. We're not embarrassed.
And I get it too. Like there's just a certain portion of society that is dead set on just causing trouble.
Sure.
And that's been throughout the history of time, right? That's always been that way.
Or they don't think it's trouble, or their culture does it, right?
Or whatever. But I get all of that. I guess for me, it's just, and I'd love to see the more positive side of things or corroboration. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
On the Frat Pack Facebook fan page, which Mike started a number of months ago, and it's brilliant. And you can join us on that Frat Pack 5,000 Facebook fan page. Just friend me, just friend Mike, and then you'll be guided how to do that. Let's switch gears to a much more calm topic.
Sure.
Minnesota high school fast pitch.
Oh, good. This is going to be even easier, I bet.
And along those same lines, no, this is a theme.
Sure.
I'm going to play Joe right now. I'm going to play the mayor. I can make a link.
You're linking.
Not that it's entitlement, but I can make a link of we have to always walk on eggshells.
Okay.
That's the link I'm about to make. Because what's
the next eggshell topic you have?
Correct. So there is a pitcher for Champlain Park that was born a biological male that is now transgender. I don't know what the proper terminology is, but this trans athlete is now competing and very well, by the way, because he is they are a biological male and competing. And the reason I guess this hit home for me is one of my really, really good friends, his daughter is a senior at Mankato East. And full disclosure, we should probably mention this. We are recording this a few days early because Mike is out of town. So when you hear this, we don't know the outcomes of the games that are being played on Tuesday.
Sure.
So I just want to make this full disclosure. Anywho, so one of my really good friend's daughter is a star pitcher for the Mankato East Cougars, Kylan Stengel. She's a great kid. Just saw her a couple of days ago. She's a wonderful kid. She's going on to play for the Gophers next year at the University of Minnesota.
Oh, she must be a stud.
She's going for they are going for their third straight state title. So she literally won a state title as a sophomore.
But she won't be playing against Champlain Park.
Correct. They're in a different class. So Champlain Park is in 4A, Mankato East is in 3A.
Okay.
And so when this subject came up the other day on Monday Night Sports Talk, Joe and Pat really kind of hit it hard like that. And Joe's entire point is, this is ridiculous. This shouldn't be happening. I would say, even regardless of which way you lean politically, you would have to think that the vast majority of the public doesn't think that this is okay. Because again, you don't see many girls fighting their way to go play on the boys' teams. I mean, some do. Don't get me wrong. I remember
one in 10,000.
Well, right. Yeah. I mean, I've been there firsthand to watch a couple of girls wrestle on high school teams because my brother-in-law, he was a high school wrestler. I saw it firsthand. Right. So we do see that. I know of a couple of girls that are playing baseball in some smaller towns. Friends of mine that their daughters are playing baseball, which I think is great.
Sure.
Because again,
do you think it's great?
I do.
Why?
Well,
why are you okay with it going that direction?
Because they don't have other options.
Okay.
So, for instance,
valid argument.
There isn't I always want to call it a softball. It's not softball. It's fast pitch.
Sure.
For these two, and I'm not going to name the programs. Those programs, there isn't an option. It's either they play baseball or they don't do anything.
Okay. That's a valid argument.
Yeah. So
I was just seeing if you were a hypocrite.
Oh, there's no doubt I am. No doubt whatsoever that I'm a hypocrite. Mike.
You had a logical point.
Okay. Yeah. So, but in those cases, yeah, I think it is different. In any event, I guess the reason I have an issue with this, Mike, is this is a problem that didn't exist 10 years ago. And it doesn't matter. Obviously, Riley Gaines shot to superstar status as kind of being the face of this movement.
Yeah, the poster girl.
Right. And I mean, I don't know if she even really set out to be that, but that's what she's become.
She set out to be a dentist, and that didn't work out, right?
Is that true?
She wanted to be a dentist.
I did not know that.
She couldn't even do it, right? She was compelled to do something different. Not to mention $50 million from the NCAA, probably.
Well, and not only that, but I mean, think about working your butt off your entire life. And I'm going to just point at Riley right now.
Sure.
You've worked your butt off your entire life. You have spent 4 years in college training. And then along comes this guy who wants to be known as Leah Thomas, who was, I think, the 569,000th ranked boys swimmer, and says, I'm going to be a girl. And then ties Riley Gaines at the finish line, but then gets awarded the gold medal instead of Riley Gaines in the guise of equity. Right? And it's just...
That's why she won the $50 million bucks.
Right. Thank you. It's wrong.
So
I'm sorry.
Let me ask you this, because I know a little bit about this young person that's playing on the Champlin team, right? This is her name. I'm going to use the name her because that's how she wants to be described. AB, something like that, isn't it? AB.
Let me look it up.
I think that's it. Like it's kind of an ambiguous name. So this person, from what I understand, has been playing girls softball or fast pitch for years, Reavers, right? Is that what you know, or is that what you
that's
believe?
That's what I have been.
So you've been told that this person, so this 17 or 18-year-old kid has been playing.
She is going by the name of Marissa Rothenberger.
Okay, then I've conflated her with someone else.
That's okay.
So Marissa, and so Marissa's been playing with girls for many years, from what I understand, if the stories are right.
For a couple of years,
a couple of few years, right? So then I think, okay, wait, this isn't a kid that has a flash in the pan moment, right? The problem is with all of this, we can sound like we're totally against it. That's all bullshit. We can't have people doing that. Boys and girls should play in different leagues. It's a human kid. It's a little kid. It's a 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kid.
Sure.
He and she, whatever, she's not a monster. She's not trying to piss people off. She doesn't want stories being written about her. I have a feeling about that, right?
Sure.
So what's in it for her? Why is she doing it?
I don't know.
What is it? Here's what I know is a bunch of us a-holes that will say that's unacceptable. Would never say that to her face. Would never sit her down and say, dear, we'd say, what we'd do is we'd sit her down and say, oh, we have compassion for you. Something happened to you. I wouldn't want to be put through this in your life. What you're doing seems difficult.
So the reason I'm going to say that I'm going to link this story and the previous one that we were talking about, it's the same mindset. And that's, we've been conditioned, and I'm going to use the greater sense of the word we. We have been conditioned, and I saw it play out firsthand the other day with this particular story where no one wants to talk about it. No one wants to be labeled. Nobody wants to be canceled.
Sure.
And there's a real, genuine fear about that. Because sadly, that's the world that we live in today. And that's why I guess I'm tired of us just being beaten to death by the cancel culture. It's working my very last nerve.
But help me skip past the cancel culture. What do you say to this kid? Right?
What do I say?
What do you say on the radio?
Okay.
What do you say when you sit down and this person says to you, I love playing softball. My teammates treat me well. I really am proud to be on this team. What do you say as an athlete, right? And oh, by the way, since I was this kid, I'm pretending I'm the kid. Since I was 4 years old, I thought I was a girl. Since I was 4 years old, whatever, I'm going through this tremendously difficult thing. I've said this before on the show. Thank God when I was going through puberty, I didn't have TikTok and social media to say to me, Mike, maybe you should be a girl.
Right.
Not that I was going to fall into that, right?
Your algorithm suggested otherwise.
My algorithm was like, maybe you should love boobs, right? It read me a little differently.
Right.
But, I mean, these kids sometimes get forced into this through socialization, through parenting, through
doubt.
whatever.
Yes.
So what do you, as Chris Reaver, sit down, and when a kid explains to you what's going on to them, it's very hard to not have compassion for that kid. I think you would.
I can't imagine a scenario that's playing out like this and not think that this is being heavily influenced by that person's parents.
Okay, what do the parents have to win?
Notoriety. Look at me.
What notoriety you get? People are screaming about them. People are death threatening them.
Well, right? I understand that, but I do think that when a child all of a sudden decides that they're going to be transgender, this is 100%. Nah, not 100%. This is very heavily influenced from the parental side of things. How can it be anything other than that?
Okay, so let's take this back 20 years when a child wanted to be gay. Do you think that was highly influenced?
No, I think that's completely different.
It was completely different, right?
Yeah.
Those kids who felt like they were gay had to go tell their dad that they were gay, and some dads knocked their teeth out, right?
Yep.
Some dads said, oh, okay, I love you, son or daughter, right? You're gay, right? And maybe this transgenderism, if that's even a word, is the same concept, right? Maybe it's the same concept, and I just don't know. I do have a point on this, though.
All right, so let's pause, let's regroup, and let's formulate our thoughts, which is the beauty of the new format of our show.
I wrote notes.
Okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. His name is Mike Fredoloni. My name is Chris Reavers. This is the Weekly Scramble podcast, and we will be right back. Hey, local business owners, do you want to get your name in front of the GL network of podcasts? You know, Garage Logic, The Weekly Scramble, Krabby Coffee Shop, Monday Night Sports Talk, and Mishki? Well, guess what? We're hosting a summer online auction in a couple of weeks, and it's the perfect way for you to get involved. Just provide a product, service, or gift card, and we'll put it up for auction to our listeners and viewers. If your item sells, you'll receive trade advertising equal to the full retail value of what was sold. That means more exposure for your business without spending a dime out of pocket. Just trading items for advertising. It's easy, it's fun, and it's a win-win for everyone. To get more information, visit garagelogic.com before Friday, June 6th, and enter keyword partner and submit the form, and we'll get back to you. Again, don't miss out. Garage Logic, Scramble, Krabby Coffee Shop, and the online summer auction today. Welcome back to the Weekly Scramble podcast. My name is Chris Reavers. That is Mike Fredoloni. Let's talk about our friends at Masters Maples at mastersmaples.com. I did get a great email the other day from our buddy Mark. He stopped in at the Cohasset, Minnesota Masters Maples locations.
Did he?
He was driving to I'm thinking of this off the top of my head. I'm so sorry. I believe he was driving from Grand Rapids, and he was driving to, I can't remember exactly, but he said, Reavers, I bought 4 bottles of the bourbon barrel-aged maple syrup, and the location's beautiful. He even sent me a photo of it. It's really cool.
He should have just done the 55-gallon drum.
Why not?
Right?
Strap that thing to my car. But it's what I love about doing this job is connecting people to great products. And you'll get that when you visit their website, mastersmaples.com, which, by the way, you can order your favorite. And he also bought seasonings because he said I bought the sweet and the savory seasonings at Masters Maples when he stopped in there. And I used my savory seasoning over the weekend. I made burgers for the boys. And oh, my goodness gracious, it's so good. Just a tiny bit of olive oil, and you slather that thing in the savory seasoning. It's the best burger you can possibly make on the grill. I'm not joking. It's so good. So go online, mastersmaples.com, place your order. And if you stop in, like our buddy Mark did, say hi to Ben and the entire crew at Masters Maples at mastersmaples.com. All right. I tried to regroup, try to reformulate my brain. And I'm not trying to kind of place one group of people over another group of people, but I do think that it's a completely different subject matter when you're talking about the kid that's trying to compete against girls that was a biological male and someone that's trying to come out of the closet. I just think that that's two completely separate. Like I don't know. I don't know.
Is the kid that's trying to compete on the women's team, who's a male, a genetic male, what's in it for them? What possible do they get?
I can tell you, in the case of Leah Thomas, they weren't gonna whatever it was, Leon or whatever his name was when he was a boy.
Sure,
he wasn't gonna win anything.
I get that, but why would he say when he turned into a she? I'm trying to be careful with that, right? Why would he say as a boy, "I'm going to"? He didn't just.
But Mike, hold on, let me stop you. He competed as a college athlete.
I 100%
as a male.
get it. But I doubt he said, I don't know this, but I doubt he said, you know what? If I pretend I'm a girl, I could go win. I doubt he said that. Because the juice isn't worth the squeeze, right? Does that make sense? Like the pain that he goes through is not worth it. So I keep going back. Reavers, here's one thing that I think about the difference between conservative and liberals, right? Conservatives see things in a macro scale. We look at the concept of the different gender playing in a different gender sport, boys playing in girls sports. We look at that as a macro thing and saying, you know what? I don't like that. I don't like that thought. I don't want my daughters to play against genetic boys, right? Liberals, on the other hand, look at many things in a micro level. They get down to the human level of this kid. What was it, Marissa?
Yes.
And they say, Marissa, what's your story? And they hear Marissa's story. And Marissa's story sounds like there's a compassionate reason why she's doing what she's doing. Right? I doubt Marissa says, I don't know, but I was a shitty baseball player, so I wanted to go over to the girls' side. Oh, and I get to watch them in the locker room. I don't believe that many people would do that because it's way too hard. The juice isn't worth that squeeze.
Okay.
Right? I could be wrong.
But the Minnesota State High School League did defy an executive order from the sitting president by allowing this to happen.
Yeah, I get that. And again, I believe...
And I got to make mention, too, I ain't no fan of the MSHSL, by the way. So I just want that made really, really clear.
Yeah, and I could see, like me, Mike standing here, I'd prefer to have genetically similar people play sports. I want girls to play in girls' sports and boys to play in boys' sports, right? I 100%, I think that's the right way to do it. I know that boys have a genetic advantage in girls' sports because we don't see any girls playing in boys' sports, or very few, like you said earlier, right? Mm-hmm. We assume that there must be an advantage. But my little brain can't get past that kid's a human being. It's a little kid. It's a 17-year-old nothing kid, right?
Yep.
Kids don't know anything. And if this kid truly was playing on the girls' team for the last 3 or 4 years, then that means since she was a little 12 or 13-year-old girl, 12 or 13-year-old little boy, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm saying?
Yep.
She's been struggling with this conflict. I wish that conflict on anyone, Reavers.
Yeah.
Think of that. Think of the family, what the family has to go through to think, oh no, my little kid wants to do this, and I know life is going to be way harder for them.
Right.
Right? And so I get that the 80-20, right? 80% of the people think it's wrong. I kind of think it's wrong too. Narrow it down to that single person, and then we make a whole bunch of different choices.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we have become such a polarized society that everything has to be one way or the other. You know, if you don't check every box, well, then you're technically with the other team, or
Sure.
you're technically on the other side of the aisle when it comes to issues. Mm-hmm. Well, wait a minute, why can't I just approach every single thing with the mindset of common sense? I guess that's where I lie.
Sure,
you know what I mean. Like, for instance, if someone wants to be trans, go ahead.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Sure.
But how is it fair to all of the other? Okay, for instance, because when I looked up Marissa and their team, they won their section championship game 1-0. Mm-hmm. I can't remember. I think did they beat Anoka? Is that what I was reading here? Hold on. Let me find out. Excuse me. They beat Rogers 1-0 in the Class 4A Section 5 championship last Thursday. Well, again, was that fair to Rogers? The high school team?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Was it fair to the parents that they're dealt the card that they have a child struggling with their...
Probably not.
Probably not.
But
right?
again,
I get it. It's an inconvenience for a whole bunch of people.
Sure.
Right.
And I guess that's the part I have such a tough time from, is because you made a decision, one decision of how you were going to decide to go forward with your life. And I can't imagine what you're dealing with, especially at that age, 16, 17, lightly, whatever. Yeah. But again, your decision is now affecting all of these other people who have, you know, Mike, you've got girls that play sports. Mm-hmm. You remember all of the travel, the clinics, the coaching, the everything that's gone along with this. Yeah. And now you've got a senior on the Rogers High School team that gets beat by a boy.
Yeah.
That's I cannot accept that.
Reavers, remind me when you and your cohorts on Garage Logic podcast.
Yep.
You had the pilot on, the transgender pilot. And was it the military, the helicopter pilot?
Oh.
What was her name?
I don't remember.
Leah. I'm saying possibly Leah.
Okay.
And Joe interviewed her. No, I'm making this up. You had the transgender state senator.
Yeah, my God. I was, okay, can I be honest with you?
You were
looking
thinking,
at going,
oh my God.
My God, how do I not remember
I've
this?
been listening to a handful of podcasts.
No, it's okay. Yeah, we had Lee Finke.
Lee Finke.
Yep.
You had Lee Finke on.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, Joe, as he's interviewing Lee, didn't care that Lee was transgender anymore, right? And as a micro level, he had compassion for Lee and liked Lee.
Sure.
And at the end had that great line. So are we close enough that if you do something stupid in the legislature, I can pick up the phone and call you on the phone? Like, just being human, right? And I think that is what I mean by micro and macro, right? On a micro case, Lee, we kind of all get it. Have a totally, maybe a different view of politics than Lee, but we sure got it. We sure said, oh, Lee's a human being.
Right.
I'm going to treat her with respect.
Right.
The last thing I want is to have her life be a grind, right? God, I'm going to tell you, I am way too blessed as a person to have someone else be diminished because of what I do to them, right? Same with you.
Sure.
Same with Joe. Same with all of us. Doesn't mean I agree with them all the time, but do I need to make their lives harder? Not a chance, right? Not a chance. So it's a
But
really...
I'll say this too. Joe has always been willing to have somebody on the show that he doesn't agree with.
Sure.
Whether it's politically or anything else.
Yeah.
That's been the beauty of Joe and the show for years, way before my time.
And he'll
even.
always have respect.
For sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always have respect. Well, that's a good... You came up with some topics that were, 1, hard-hitting, 2, there is no right answer.
No.
Right? Because there's variations of gray on everything.
And that's the beauty of not only this country, but just the form of discussion is the fact that some of these things just need to be hashed out for a minute or two, right?
I did go to Grand Avenue Day last weekend, right?
Okay.
And Grand Old Day, I should say, not Grand Avenue Day. And in Reavers, I'm going to tell you, I felt this compassion for people. As I was walking through the crowd, I saw more ambiguously gendered people than I ever had, where I was like, oh, that's an adult person. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what a fully bearded man wearing a dress, like I didn't know what they were doing. Like I was like, oh man. And I wasn't mad at them and I wasn't pissed at them and I wasn't laughing at them. I was like, oh, shoot, that has to be tough, right? That life can't be easier than just being a guy or just being a girl.
Well, imagine that same scenario playing out and you are on a 2.5 day, 2,300 mile journey with your 2 sons.
Okay.
And imagine, Michael, you pull up to a gas station and because the 10-year-old's got to use the restroom.
Sure.
As children always do on long road trips. And imagine pulling into this really nice, clean chain of gas stations. And at the urinal is that same bearded man wearing a dress. And your 10-year-old goes, that looks weird.
That's confusing.
And then having to have that conversation. So, Dad, how come that guy was wearing a dress? Because, he was using the urinal in a dress.
You know what your answer is?
What?
That man sucks at fantasy football. That's his penalty, right? If you want to make it easy.
I wish I would have thought of that.
That's why when I ask you about your fantasy leagues, you pay attention to Dad because you don't want to lose.
And end up wearing a dress.
Yeah, it
going
reminds
at
me
the
of
truck stop.
That time when the escalator was broke. And someone said, well, what do you say what does the escalator say when it's broken? And I said, nothing. It just stares. Escalator, it just stares.
I got you. Thank you, Michael.
Reavers, you are the best.
Please do us a favor, rate and review the show wherever you happen to be listening to the Weekly Scramble podcast. It helps other people find the show, and it really helps us out as well, and we certainly do appreciate it. His name is Mike Fratelloni. My name is Chris Reavers. Thank you so very much for listening to the Weekly Scramble podcast. We will talk to you again next time. Until then, cheers.